hope you're ready for this.
Gonna be fun.
You will not stand in my way.
Frostborn. Hunger. This pleases me.
I do not fear you, mortal.
Your soul shall be mine.
Don't make me laugh.
Needs a brew? Oh, I do. Feel a shredding, baby. Let the battle begin.
So hello and welcome to the 38th episode of The Nexus Trolls, a podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. So I'm your host, Linus Daz Kilius, and I'm joined today, as always, by LiQuiuD and Mystic. How's it going, boys?
What's up, man?
Hello.
I feel like I gotta change the intro a little bit. Maybe I'll spice it up next week. So we got a little portal. Something's brewing behind there. You guys saw that teaser?
It was, yeah.
Well, we're definitely going to talk about it. Maybe we should save that for a later segment. But have you guys been dusting off some Stukov? I've been playing a lot of them last week, too. How about you, Mystic? Have you been playing a lot of Stukov since last week? Have you learned any new things?
Well, I learned that people are starting to be able to use him fairly well, and I think his win rate is climbing up there a little bit.
I've learned he's a great counter to Genji's Dragon Blade because he can't use his Shuriken and he's got no like damage abilities. I should clip it on Twitch or something, or put up a clip there because I was like a sliver of health. And I put the big lurking arm just right on top of me, stood in the middle of it, scared as hell of this Genji who's got his Dragon Blade, but he kept trying to get me, like walking out, couldn't Dragon Blade into range. He kept walking in, and he walked in and he ended up dying. I was like, yes, it was my moment. Poor Genji, because
awesome.
He can't Shuriken, right? When he's in Dragon Blade, he can't auto attack. All he can do is his swipe, but he can't really reach you if you're in the middle of the big lurking arm. So he was having some issues, and I did have a diva with me too, so she was doing her little pew 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 attack on him. But still, that was like my little feel good moment for the week.
Can we talk about how we should also talk about how the Butcher is like skyrocketing in win percentage? Unsung hero Butcher.
How is that happening?
I don't know, but I'm like looking at it right now. He is the highest win percentage hero.
Is it like
Stukov was released, and then he has no mobility, and Butcher doesn't care about silence. He just walks in.
Right, he just walks in. Right.
Yeah, it's such a strange thing. So do you think it's like having Stukovs on his team or on the opposite team, and he kind of counters that? Like I'm
not sure. I'm trying to play with it right now to see. I mean, his highest win percentage is with like Jaina, Kael'thas, Uther, Zarya, Zul. So his win percentage is like 63% with Jaina, which makes sense if you think about it, right? The slow
him down, can't get away.
Yeah.
Very odd space that we live in. Are we going to start seeing Butcher first bans now? I feel like he's still niche. It's like the Lost Vikings. They are typically or often found at the top of hot slogs, but it's not like they're first ban worthy on most maps, right? Because they're still a niche pick, and they do well in niche scenarios with good players under their hands, but still. Anyways, maybe we should get into the actual show, shall we? Because we got a little bit to talk about. Not a ton, but a little bit. Especially with Blizzard luckily gave us a little teaser, which we can speculate about. If you haven't seen that, you head over to Blizzard's Twitter, and you can see it there. We've also got a link for it in the show notes.
It's on the launcher now.
Yeah, and we've got an interview that we did. We actually did it last Thursday, but we pre-recorded it, and we're going to broadcast it here with Superjova, the creator of Chair League. So he's got a few things to say about Chair League. I mean, we talk about Chair League quite often on the show, but it's great to have Superjova himself on the show with us. We also have a few emails, or a couple emails that we're going to talk about at the end of the show. LiQuiuD's got his usual eSports corner, and Mystic's got a Shakdown returning this week. And there's a little bit of news that we'll go over first. But before we start, I did want to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/trollsgg, and maybe put a little bit of, I don't know what you call it, like maybe a plea out there to get some more patrons, because we're putting together some BlizzCon swag. We've been looking to get t-shirts as well as some funky pinhole sunglasses, which are pretty damn cool if I don't say so myself. So if we get more patrons, we'll be able to get more swag for BlizzCon. And if you're a patron and you're going to BlizzCon, definitely let us know. We'll find you on the floor. We'll make sure that you get a t-shirt and pinhole sunglasses, because we really appreciate your support of the show. And if you're looking for a place to support the show, patreon.com/trollsgg is the way to do it. Another place you can always support the show too and you don't even need to spend a dime doing this, is you can head over to iTunes and give us a 5-star review on the site, because that really helps with discoverability. And turns out we had a little iTunes issue that we didn't know about too. It seems to only affect certain users using iTunes on iPhones. Thanks to @therosenstern on Twitter for pointing this out, because we noticed, me and we were looking one day, we're like, why is there like this big drop in viewership when we went from TheNexusTrolls.com to trolls.gg? Well, it turns out there's this weird little quirk, and it only seems to be affecting iTunes on the iPhone that we know of, where you weren't getting updates on iTunes, so you wouldn't get notifications about new shows being posted. So you probably thought we just kind of faded into obscurity, but we're still alive, guys, I swear. So if that's happened to you, and the ironic thing is, anyone I'm talking to now probably doesn't have this problem, right?
Right.
So I'm probably just like preaching to deaf ears or people that don't have the problem, so I don't even know why we're bothering. But anyhow, if you happen to know a friend who's like, I used to like the Nexus Trolls, what happened to them? Tell them just to unsubscribe and resubscribe on iTunes, and it should work. We're up on iTunes. Just for whatever reason, that transition kind of hit us hard. But that being said, thank you @therosenstern very, very much for bringing that to our attention. We also want to thank the Troll of the Week. Troll of the Week this week is Ogre. Ogre is often popping in and out of our chat channel. We see him quite a bit. I've seen him actually in chat channels and other shows too. He's a fan of many shows, and I've played with him in game as well too. So Ogre, thanks for being a fan of the show. Congratulations on being our Troll of the Week. Okay, now into the news. And that should be the bumper.
Someday,
There it is.
this will make a great story.
Thanks, Jen. Someday it will. Mystic, do you want to take away this little hero tease that we found? Because that's probably the biggest piece of news that we've had all week.
All right. And so some of you may know that last night there was supposedly a hero teaser trailer after some matches of the China HGC. So me having not much to do and not wanting to sleep at the moment, I was like, all right, I'll stay up for watching this hero teaser. And so eventually they had it come up, and it's a giant dark portal like the one that Gul'dan came out of, and the one that the people in World of Warcraft used to go to what was it, Draenor?
Outland.
Like
Outland.
yeah, Outland. There we go.
Oh,
And
Draenor
so,
works too, right? Because it was Draenor.
Well, yeah, I guess. But it was Outland first, and if you read like some of the comments, there's a lot of people saying that's the older portal, not the newer portal, which was the Draenor portal, and the color was different for the Draenor portal. It wasn't green; it was orange or red.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Draenor and Outlands are the same planet, though, right? It's just
Yes, but it's
had a
two
name
different,
change.
like- no. Well, yes and no. It's two different. It's two different time continuums. So,
Okay.
in World of War,
Well, you're talking about. Okay, I know we're gonna get emails about this. From reading the books, like talking
Yes.
about Duratan, and like even just even the World of Warcraft movie, right?
Right,
They're
right.
on Draenor, right?
Yes.
And then I guess it becomes Outlands after like that big kind of
Yes.
cataclysmic event.
Yes.
But then you
Correct.
also have the Draenor from the alternate timeline too, right? But it's still the same planet.
Draenor from the alternate timeline is the Draenor from it's the time event changed, right? So you are correct. The area itself is still called Draenor until it becomes Outland. But the important thing to note is the portal that people are pointing to is the same design as the portal that was used during Burning Crusade,
Okay.
which led you to Outland, where in the World of Warcraft game lore, the portal that is slightly different and leads you to Draenor looks different than the image they use. And that's why I was trying to like...
I'm just trying to get Mystics back here because he said Draenor. And I was like, I think that's valid in this case.
Mystics got me hands down with Diablo and StarCraft lore, but I think I can take him in World of Warcraft lore.
And I've got Hearthstone lore maybe down as my corner. Oh, geez. Okay, well, anyways, continue, Mystic.
Okay, well, after I was rudely interrupted about reskinned portals, we got this dark portal that could lead to who knows where.
All
And
right.
then they zoomed in on this like really dark looking shadow in the middle of it with like glowing green eyes. And they're saying, and then people are speculating here and there that hey, it doesn't you know, they have like rounded shoulders, so it's probably some orc, and people are thinking like, oh, it's Grom, it's Garrosh, you know, something like that.
Yeah, and like I've heard a lot of that as well. I think people might be overthinking it a little bit. It might just be, and I've seen a lot of people speculate about this as well, just a generic silhouette, and it, you know, maybe if the generic silhouette looks orcish, but I mean, I've some of the first comments I saw on it before people kind of went down this orc theory, you know, either Grom or Gromish, for instance, too. I guess people know that both Hellscreams are in the works anyway, so I guess those are good guesses. But I like the idea as well of either Jiraxis or Kill Jaden potentially coming through there as well. I mean, I think those are very valid theories. And I've also seen Maiev Shadow Song. Is that how you say, or Maiev?
Yeah.
I've just read it in the book, so I didn't know how it's pronounced. Potentially being there too, because she obviously went out into the Outlands to fight Illidan for quite some time, or trying to try and find him and capture him.
So what's interesting to me is last time around with the 3 claw marks in the Genji trailer, right?
Yeah.
It's
Like
everybody
went down this like super, I'm gonna like dig in as far as I can, and you can see that the outer right claw mark is less deep than the middle claw mark and the left claw mark.
Yep.
And so it must be Deathwing and not this other dragon aspect type, right? Which is fine. Like, I support those people. The world needs people like you because you give us good lore. But with that said, you know, Blizzard was sitting there laughing at us the whole time, like, you guys don't know what the hell you're talking about. Look at it's Diva, right? So I'm like, I'm really struggling because I can't decide what, like, it's a portal. It's clearly something coming from Outland into Azeroth, but at the same time, it could be something going into Outland from Azeroth, which would like play into the to Maiev storyline, right? But like, I feel like if we think too hard about this, we're not gonna get it, because we're gonna be like, guys, did you notice that the left arm armor is missing? It's got to be Garrosh, and it's gonna be something completely unrelated, right? Something that fought Garrosh. So, you know, and we're gonna be like, oh wait, shit, why didn't we see that?
All right, LiQuiuD. So is this portal still active in World of Warcraft now?
If you change, so yes, but you have to go to Hellfire Peninsula, and then you have to change it so that you're pointed to the Outlands portal instead of the Warlords of Draenor portal.
So if
yes, the portal still exists.
If I logged into WoW right now, would I find a whole bunch of people crowded around it,
Yeah,
trying to
they're just, like,
examine it?
looking,
Probably
they're like,
would, dude. Honestly, you probably would.
Yeah, so it could be pretty much it. I mean, even with like the Malfield tease too, a lot of people are, oh, a Deckard Cain, like it seemed like a Diablo-ish kind of realm, but I mean, it could be anything, right? And with the portal, like you said, a lot of things go in and out of that portal throughout the lore. So what's everyone's votes here? Okay, Mystic, what do you think? What do you think? If you were a betting man, what would you guess?
I guess my bet would be on Garrosh.
How about you, LiQuiuD? What are you thinking?
If I had to bet, bearing in mind that I was totally all in on Deathwing, I would bet Garrosh too.
Oh, I'm gonna go against the grain here, and I'm gonna say Jiraxis. That's my.
That would
feeling.
be way cooler, in my opinion. That would be way
same.
There-
Like, give me Archimond or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like any demon, I'm in, but I think it's gonna be Garrosh.
Yeah, and that seems to be the common sentiment too. But who knows? Maybe my dark horse will come through. And I say Jiraxis, but you know, Archimond, Killjade, any of those guys, I think
Right.
wouldn't be surprised. And because we don't really have any of those. I guess they used to be Draenei, right? But then they turned into the Demon Lords or whatever
Right.
you want to call them, coming through. So I think that's a void that has yet to be put in there. A lot of people have also said things like, "Oh, it may be Prophet Velen or something too," right? Or who knows? I mean, there could be.
That would be weird, but yeah.
Yeah, who knows? Especially with like the green glowing eyes. Yeah, I think it's got to be evil, or I guess Maeve Shadow Song's got the green glowing eyes in a lot of her pictures as well. They
Right.
show her with the armor on.
But you could also show her going in, right? So
Yeah.
that plays into it could be like the fake out could be no. It's someone we're sending in, not someone coming out.
Or it can be Mystic when he was talking off camera. They zoom out. It's on a mountain next to Deathwing. So
Deathwing did like completely decimate that area too when he came to Azeroth, so that is absolutely possible.
you never know, or maybe it's Imperious, just completely throw us. for a
Yeah,
loop,
it's just completely thrown off. It's a portal, but we don't know to where. It's to the Diablo universe.
Right, right.
Cool. And I mean, one other thing that they did confirm was that this next character is more popular than Stukov, which, I mean, pretty much any of the ones we've said are probably more popular than Stukov because there are pretty prominent characters. But I don't think that we're going to get, your more obscure characters or made up ones like a Lunara or like a Chromie, for instance.
So that's the thing that bugs me. All right, first of all, Chromie's not fake. Chromie's been around for a long time.
I didn't say, I said fake or less popular too. Like, I mean,
Okay.
she's
All
not
right.
like one of
Let's
your
just say-
well-known
let's just be clear.
characters.
Chromie's not Lunara. Lunara totally made up, doesn't exist anywhere that I've ever seen. Chromie is like, come on, man. It's
Yeah,
Chromie.
that's not what I meant.
All right. So anyway, okay. The thing that bothers me is that statement. More popular than Stukov. I haven't seen a lot of Garrosh hype. I've seen a lot of Kill Jaden hype. The only thing I've seen more than Kill Jaden is Deathwing.
The same statement bothered me, but for a different reason. I was thinking, hey, how many people actually knew about Stukov before Stukov came out on HOTS? Like the StarCraft community,
Right?
And that's about it, right? Nobody else really knew about Stukov, so it's like that's not that much of a statement.
Popularity is very subjective.
No, it absolutely is. But my point is that if you're gonna say this is the most this is more popular than Stukov, first the bar's kind of low because of what Mystic said. Not because I don't think Stukov is awesome, but because there's just not a lot of outside of StarCraft 2, a lot of Stukov fans out there. But there's a ton of WoW fans out there, right? So, Kill Jaden is the thing that Kill Jaden and Deathwing are the things I see most frequently on Reddit and Twitter and polls and things like that. So
Kel'Thuzad.
Yeah, I feel like
Also
Kel'Thuzad is gonna be
yeah.
Kel'Thuzad. I feel like that's a BlizzCon.
But his eyes
reveal.
aren't green, so you can't he doesn't fit that. But it doesn't mean I don't know. That would be really weird. If it was Kel'Thuzad this time around. So yeah.
It will be interesting to find out. Given Blizzard's track record, we're probably going to find out with the next few days. I'm not sure in what form that's going to be. Maybe it'll be just they update the GIF and you see someone coming out of the portal. I love those 3 candles being burnt out for Malthael, right?
So tinfoil hat for a minute.
Okay.
One of 2 things is going to happen, in my opinion, for this. Either they will do it tonight, or I mean not tonight, but this weekend.
Does anyone have the launcher open? Maybe we should keep an eye on it.
No, I have the launcher open for other reasons. Nothing has come up yet. So they will either do it tonight for other reasons, because why do I keep saying tonight? This weekend. Wow, I'm a hot mess. All right, let me try this again. They will either do this weekend simply because if you look at this weekend's schedule, we have Friday, Saturday games, and that's it. Then Sunday is when the bye week starts. Everybody's off until the clashes begin, except for China. China's got some Monday, Tuesday games, I think, still remaining. So I think they might release another teaser this weekend during HGC major region play in Korea, Europe, and NA. But really, I think they'll drop the huge announcement the following week because they don't have a lot going on for HGC.
Yeah, well, it's not
torture.
It's not like Blizzard to hold on to it for that long. I think
that's
weekend
the
at
thing
the
that worries me,
latest, probably. So,
Oh, definitely they'll hold it until the weekend because they can use that to hey, you know what? Between some of our great games on Friday or Saturday, we're gonna do the reveal, and that's gonna drive more eyeballs to HGC.
this is true.
They're just gonna have an arm sticking out of the dark portal, oh, he's coming out. Whatever it.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, well, let's move along because we don't want to talk about this for an hour. I'm sure we could too. That's the kind of ironic thing with any of these things. It's easy to fall down a rabbit hole. So, LiQuiuD. Blizzard
Yes.
responds to the Diamond 3 Clown Fiesta. What is this talking about?
All right. So my boy Mystic.
We all like
here,
Clown Fiestas, right?
and Tactical Tuna, both great players, both placed Diamond 3. Now, I personally think Mystic is actually a master player, but he doesn't grind the hero leagues. That's fine. I think Tuna's probably close to a master level player, but he doesn't play HOTS nearly enough and also doesn't grind the hero leagues, right? So that's cool. I have no problem with that. All good. You know, each of us plays the game in our own way. But a lot of higher level players have been complaining for a while, saying everybody's dumped in Diamond 3, all these high level players, and it's creating this clown fiesta at Diamond 3 where you're matching us all together, but a true Diamond 3 or Diamond 2 is not the same as a Grandmaster who just did his placements and just hasn't ground enough to get the Grandmaster points, right? And so, like, there's been a lot of that, right? Everybody's like, man, this is horrible. Man, why is everybody stuck at Diamond 3? There's a logjam here. All of that, okay? So Blizzard came out and they responded and they said, one, matchmaking completely based on MMR, not your rank. So, yeah, you guys might all be Diamond 3 right now because that's where you placed, because that's the highest we're going to place anybody. But that doesn't mean a Grandmaster MMR is going to be matched against a true Diamond 3 player, right? Like, those two things are not the same. And then the other thing they looked at is they mentioned is that they're looking into how quickly skills decay for people and if maybe they should do some normalization after it's been so long since you've done Hero League games, or if they should do some MMR decay and things like that, delaying Grandmasters. Like, they're looking at how to make this system better, but they're saying, but overall, if you understand that MMR is what we're really using for our matchmaking, you know, having the logjam at Diamond 3 is not a huge problem.
I actually kind of disagree there, because I feel that the matchmaking should be based more on your rank than your MMR. Like, if you all place in Diamond 3, yeah, you should be placed with players that are worse than you, and the fact that you're better than them will in the long run help you level up. Whereas if you're playing with players of equal skill level, you're gonna essentially get a 50% win rate, assuming MMR is accurate. You're not going to be able to grind out of Diamond 3 as easily, because I think Mystics talked about this in a previous Shakedown too. I mean, it might have been Bacon when he did his Bacon bits, but one or the other is that, as you're grinding up the ladder, you are the X factor, right? Yeah, you might have bad players in your team, but the other team has a more likely chance, assuming that you're not bad, of having bad players. So they got 5 potential bad player spots. You only have 4, right? So that variable there being you will help you grind up or grind down or stick where you are based on your own skill level in the long run over time. So that's why I think it shouldn't be like MMR matching.
Let me ask this for you. So they've said that they want to do a curve, right? There's a curve, and they've said, the vast majority of our players should be in the gold, the silver, gold, platinum area. Like, that's where, if you look at the population curve, that's where we want the vast majority of our players. If you say that you would rather them doing it off rank, let's say I have a bad run of placement games and I end up gold 1. Gold 1. But my MMR is high enough that I should really be, like, my MMR is within plus or minus 10 points of Plat 5 players, right? Would you really stick me with gold 1 players that maybe just squeaked into gold 1? Or would you stick me with the Plat 5?
You should be placed based on your MMR. So you should have that would be, in my mind, a broken placement system. If you should be placed where your MMR says you should be placed, and then I don't know if this is how Blizzard does it, but then once you get there, you should be playing games with other people on your same rank level, irregardless of what the MMR is. That's what I think. And that's what I'm assuming a game like Hearthstone does. Hearthstone's a little bit different because there is decay, because every season you basically have bumped down, to like a low rank, and you got to grind your way back up again. But still, like, you always play against, someone who's the same player level as you, or a little, maybe one above, one below. And that way, like, okay, if you're above your rank, you're playing better than players on your level. It doesn't matter where your MMR is. It matters what players of your rank are. So that means how you rank up.
So this is one of the fundamental disagreements I've always had with Heroes of the Storm. I actually surprisingly agree with you to a degree. I think we should do away with the rank system as a whole, and just your MMR is what it is, right? So in WoW, in Arena, I hit 2100 MMR. That was my MMR. I knew I was a 2100 player. I could go and I could look and I could see where that put me, how many players above, how many players below that put me, things like that, right? I didn't need to say I'm a Platinum 2 player. I said I was a 2100 MMR rogue looking for a group. I feel like if they would just transition to that system, that would do a couple of things for us. That would allow us to have just a straight up, this is your MMR. Nobody's questioning it. Nobody's going, well, Hotslog says I'm, platinum player based on this MMR, but, I'm really only in gold 2 right now. Like, you don't get any of that stuff, right? You get, Blizzard says, this is my MMR. This is the MMR of the people I'm being placed with. And you get a better experience that way, in my opinion. So I would love to see them go to that, but I don't know that they're ever going to, because if you look at MOBAs in general, they all have this kind of similar ranking system. They all have the bronze to diamond, master, grandmaster type system. They don't just say, your MMR is this, and based on our population curve, we can tell you this is where master is and this is where grandmaster is, which is what I'd like to see.
I agree with you, actually. I think that'd be a great way to do it. And you can also have it that if you're above 2100 MMR, you're considered to be like gold or whatever. Right? If you're in a certain percentile, then you're a gold. It's kind of like, Grandmaster, you do have like some sort of ranking, right? You can even have not just your MMR, but like your place, like whatever rank you are, like total number from like maybe your rank number 10,572 or something, right? Which is like how many there's 10,571 people above you, and maybe that puts you in silver or gold or whatever. So you just have some sort of thing that's easy to say, like I'm a gold level player. But I agree with that. I think that it's very confusing having MMR, which is invisible, and rank, and them seeming to be somewhat correlated, but not necessarily, and that does confuse things. So, yeah, we'd ask Mystic how Diamond 3 Logjam is going, but he just stops playing as soon as he gets there.
I was gonna say, League of Legends, they have this system now. It's the same as HOTS basically right now, but they originally had what you guys were talking about, like the MMR system. They just called it the ELO system, or maybe that was already an existing system, but that's what they used like way back in the day. And where you had this number was your MMR, and like you said, once you're at this number to this number, then you are gold, or you're this number to this number, you're platinum. And they had that way back when.
Why did they do away with it? Do you remember?
I think it was more for I think it was to help people climb was the thing. Like you can, in that sense, when they changed to the new system, it helped people, hey, if you grind out these games, you can actually climb. Whereas, the other system, it was a bit harder to climb, I think, or something like that.
I guess
it may have been more accurate, but it was.
That's actually a good point, because everyone likes the forward progress, and once your MMR gets kind of stuck in a spot, it might be hard to change that.
Well, it absolutely is, right? Your MMR is only going to change. It like
how demoralizing it be,
right?
Yeah.
Like I won 8 games in a row and I went up 1 point. Like that's a table flip, right? Like you're done, you're checked out. Whereas it's like, cool, I won 8 games in a row and I went from gold 5 to gold 4. Woohoo! Right? Like, yeah, I could see that, but
no perfect system figured out quite yet. Whoever figures out will win a Nobel Prize.
You know what? More importantly, whoever figures out the perfect system for this will get so many players they won't know what to do with their game. Because like, no, and I'm being serious, right? Like, so League of Legends actually does a really good job at being open, and they have APIs, and they have, like, you can go see your performance, you can watch your friends play. Like, there's so much that League of Legends does right. I feel like a traitor just saying that, but there really is that we don't do yet in Heroes of the Storm because we're behind, we're a newer game, all the reasons, right? But the first person to implement all of that stuff, including a system that lets you easily and transparently see where you're at in the game compared to other players, but do it in a way where you feel like you're making forward progress if you get a bunch of wins in a row, is going to corner the market on this style game, and everybody's going to go to it.
Difficult problem. I mean, also, you'd kind of hope that the gameplay has something to do with it as well as the system.
Right. I mean, yeah, it can't be an absolute garbage game and have the best system.
Everyone's like, you hear about this game? It's got the most amazing ranked system. I have to play it every day.
Right? It's like, and it's an absolute garbage game, and you're like,
Speaking of things that could be improved, Hotslogs had a new alternative pop up this week. hotsdata.com. It's definitely a work in progress. You can head over there now. They've got an uploader. You can upload and basically track your progress. They're working on some of the main features that Hotslogs does have, like win percentages and such, but they said quite publicly, hey, we don't have a ton of people using it yet, so those numbers are kind of useless until we get more people using it. So, I mean, like anything, people are getting kind of fed up with some different aspects of hot slogs. You get things like this kind of cropping up to potentially replace it. Only problem with any of these things, it's the chicken and the egg bit. You need to have people using it before it becomes useful, and people won't use it unless it's useful. So, problem there. So, I mean, head over to hotsdata.com, check it out, try out the uploader, help out the devs, and maybe we'll have a nice alternative to hot slogs that doesn't eat up all your resources as you're playing the game. You guys checked out Hotstata at all? It is in development. There's not a ton there.
I've pulled up the page. I won't lie. I have pulled up the page. I have looked at it. Here's my question for you, right? Have you uploaded your games to it yet?
Me, I've uploaded a few.
Have you used the uploader?
Yes.
Okay. How did you feel about it?
I didn't have any problem with it.
Okay. I was not a fan, but I don't know. Maybe that was just me. I don't know.
Well, who knows? Like I'm very forgiving of sites in development that are reaching out like this, because it's basically like it's in beta, right? Or even alpha, if you want to call it that. They just recently announced they're doing this. Like there's not much that you can really see in here after you do your uploads and such. And they pretty much publicly say that. And one of their big pitches and the reasons they're doing this is that they're trying to get rid of ads on something like Hotslog. So they said they're never going to have ads. They might do a Patreon or something similar for potential donations to pay for time. But still, at this point, it is rough around the edges and they're working on it. But I thought I'd just point people in that direction because it's a neat little community bit, and you want to try and support the community.
It doesn't hurt, right? Mm-hmm. Like, whenever you get into a situation where one group or company or whatever has all of the data and no one else is competing, like, things die, right? Innovation dies. You know what makes me sad, though, is I don't know if you knew this, but Heroes.gg used to be a thing. And I used to upload to them too, religiously. It's gone now.
Yeah, I seem to remember seeing that. I don't think I ever used it back when I was looking for like a hot slogs type thing. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing with a lot of these sites. They pop up, pop down. Maybe they just didn't want to spend money on it anymore, right? Didn't see it as a cash revenue bit. And who knows? Maybe even Hotstate will run into that problem too. They'll be like, start getting big and be like, whoa, we need money to finance this. With a Patreon isn't hanging out here. Maybe do we have to put up ads? Compromise our initial mantra here? Who knows?
That's the thing, right? What do you do at that point? Like,
well, it's an issue facing lots of sites, including Chair League, which is one thing that Superjova addresses in the interview we're going to have in a bit. But still, just check it out, hotsdata.com. Feel free to form your own opinions on it. Check it out if you'd like. But this next bullet point on our show notes is something that I'd like to point out, because suddenly stealth in the game has become an issue after talking about it 2 weeks ago in our HOTS debate. I'd like to think that it was due to us, but I know that it was. So there was a forum post over on Blizzard on Battle.net. Someone asked about Valeera, saying, okay, Valeera's got a really low win rate. What are your plans to accommodate this? And Blizzard came back and they had an official response. One of their senior game designers, Matt Vi, said this: I can't speak too much to Valeera specifically, but I want to talk about stealth in general, which I think is relevant to the discussion. One of our big challenges with stealth heroes is that their strength is inversely proportional to the enemy team's level of coordination. They live and die by whether they can by whether they can get picks on unprotected or out-of-position targets. This is pretty much the essence of the pub stomp hero who's weak and competitive problem, and it's not an easy thing to solve with just number changes. We do want to fix this, and I think that we can. The first step is figuring out a solution that preserves the bulk of what's fun about those heroes, while mitigating some of their disproportionate strengths in less coordinated matches, especially quick match. We have some potential ideas that we're not ready to talk about, but if you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them. And this was also actually addressed on the Core podcast yesterday. And I got to say, I'll give a little shout out to Bo over there, a fellow Canadian, who thinks that stealth as a mechanic should be avoided. And what I say to Bo is, you should have voted for me in the DOTS debate. I might have actually done a little bit better.
No, man, because the rest of the world understands the truth.
But it is, ironically enough, a trouble problem that Blizzard has balanced. I'm not saying it's problematic in the game. I mean, we'd be that to death a couple weeks ago. But still, it's interesting that it still is, even seen as a potential issue by Blizzard.
So I want to comment just because I understand. Here's the thing. Like, I understand the comment that the Blizzard dev made, and he's right. Valeera could easily become a pub stomp hero. I get it, right? Who cares? Like, so
you do because you love Valeera.
Yeah, but that's not why. Like, I would, you know what? And here's why I say that. I would be perfectly happy if they said, you know what, in QM you just can't have we won't let you take Valeera into quick match, or stealthies are going to operate differently in quick match, so you can still play them, but they're going to act. Now that's incredibly hard to do, and I don't expect them to go that way. But here's my thing. They have nerfed Valeera so hard because of her pub stomping. Like, I swear to God, you could go into, back in the day when she was first released, you could go into a quick match and you could 1-0 pretty much any squishy target. No doubt. You were like, you're stunned, you're dead, I'm a rogue, suck it. And you just moved on, right? Like, that was life as Valeera, and it was awesome. And I liked doing that, not in quick match, but in any game style. Like, you want to be 5-on-5 team league? Like, let's do it. I'll do it all day. But my problem is when you try to nerf a hero that's that strong in QM because a team that's not coordinated can't deal with the stealthy, you completely take her out of the meta for competitive. Nobody's ever going to play anybody but Zeratul in competitive. And if you watch the competitive, they use stealth from, a decent amount, but it's not the end-all be-all of a Zeratul player. Zeratul player is mobility and Void Prison. Those are the two reasons you take Zeratul. And he's got great wave clear, right? His cleave will clear a wave pretty quick, right? So there's some good reasons to take Zeratul in competitive. Nova, Valeera, and to a lesser extent Samuro don't have those reasons because they've been nerfed so hard because of the pub stomp nature. And that's when you start running afoul of LiQuiuD. Like, dude, I get that this is a super strong hero in pubs, but like, I want to see what the pros can do with the properly tuned Valeera. I will never get to have that day because of this. That's why I'm sad.
That's the balancing challenge. You got to be able to balance across all skill levels.
I might be a bit biased here, but I'm kind of glad that Valeera isn't strong enough to make it into the professional scene, because to have, your hero played in the professional scene, right? Because they want to win, it has to be like either super strong in the niche that it can be used in that said niche, or it's just super strong in general. Like, Genji, super strong in mobility, and he's kind of pretty freaking strong in general. But if Valeera gets played in the professional scene, it just means that she's so strong at literally just like one-shotting heroes that are alone, or has so much CC that, let's just say her stun was like 2.5 seconds long or something, that it'd be like stun into like 2 years stun basically into they're dead.
Okay, I got the solution. You make stealthies really tough to play, because then the lower levels, it'd just be too complicated, and
it's got to be really mechanical, right? Like a really high skill cap. Yeah.
But then in professional, they could handle that, and it could be properly tuned for professional play as well. There you go, Blizzard. Problem solved.
Yes.
Next
Please,
topic.
God, yes. Let's do it.
Anyways, that's an idea.
Right after that, Daz is gonna solve the problem of the cow, so he can come out of pasture.
And then maybe world hunger. We'll see if that makes on the list.
Hots first, man. Hots first.
Okay. Final news topic. I love Tyrande, and Mystic before the show said, "Hey Daz, have you been looking at the new Tyrande build?" And I said, "Nope." Please tell me about it. Tell me about it, Mystic. What's Tyrande up to these days? Because I love playing her, and I'd love to see a new build on her.
All right. Well, I've been seeing this new build on Tyrande that some of the higher level players have been running. It was a pro who made it. I don't remember who though. Yeah. I don't remember who made it, but it was one of the professional players. And basically what this build entails is building Tyrande like a hyper carry. And
was it Fan? I saw on Reddit Fan doing some stuff with Tyrande.
I saw that too. I don't think it was Fan. I think he was just playing the build. It might have been Fan. I'm not 100% sure, but...
All right, well, let's tell us about the build.
Yeah, essentially it makes Tyrande a hyper carry, and it revolves around the talents of Caldori Resistance and Darnassian Archery. So I think the first level they take Lunar Blaze usually because more damage. For 4 they take Caldori Resistance, which they just stack it on themselves and only themselves, and they eventually just get, like super a high amount of spell resistance. So then they're really hard to kill. Darnassian Archery, which they just keep attacking the heroes, and eventually it just stacks and stacks and stacks. I saw someone playing this with Darnassian Archery against a Cho'Gall, kept attacking the Cho'Gall, and eventually just started doing like 400s to the Cho'Gall, and it just kept getting higher and higher. And the Oriole with the Cho'Gall was like, wait a second, I can't actually heal this much, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. So it was just stacking on 400s, and it just kept increasing. And then I think it's Shadowstalk.
Yep.
I think at 16, do they take Mark of Mending? I don't know what they take on 16.
So I was just gonna say I have found a couple of these out on Heroes Hearth. Great website, check it out. But none of them are pros. But they're all talking about how this is the new hyper carry. Mark of Mending is the 16 on all of them. 13 looks like it's situational, but 16 is Mark of Mending.
Makes sense.
Okay,
More
makes sense.
self-sustain.
Yeah. And then I'm guessing at 20 they take Ice Blade arrows for more attack speed, and to synergize with Darnassian Archery. Yeah. So this is a lot of auto attack heavy, and then you just eventually stack up a bunch of spell resistance on Tyrande, and then she becomes really, really strong against spells, and then she just sits there auto attacking.
I am excited. I know what I'm playing tonight.
Just remember that if you hit
a minion,
non-hero, then all your damage is gone.
It's okay.
You have to be careful with that, man.
It's okay. I can exercise restraint. We'll see how that works. But I'm interested to try it out, and I mean, I can see how all those talents synergize with each other, and especially too. I have seen a lot of Tyrandas take Shadowstalk, and they use it like a hunter. They kind of pop out. All of a sudden, they're Lunar Flare out of nowhere, and the next thing you know, they're like behind you, just rip it in you.
Whoa! Hold on. You can't 30 seconds ago say stealth is a horrible mechanic, and then say Shadowstalk is great to pop a Lunar Flare out of nowhere.
No.
That
stealth,
doesn't work, man.
Stealth is fun for the person playing the stealth hero. It is horrible for the person on the receiving end of Tyrande. I am talking about me having fun as Tyrande. Don't get me wrong. I like falling back into playing Nova every once in a while. Just like when you just want to go in a quick match and just kind of do your thing. And same with Valera, same with Simuro too. I still play them. It's not like I hate the heroes. I just feel bad, when I one-shot the Chromie who's has no idea that I was lurking around the corner, right?
This is like when
actually I don't feel
when
bad.
You blocked me
Tyrande can't
on
one-shot
stream
Chromie
with slides. Like, yeah, you know, man. You're like, yeah, stealth is evil. Shadowstalk for the win. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I do play Dirty Fatty. That's definitely right. Fatty in the chat. Hey, Fatty, what's up? Okay, so LiQuiud, you could do LiQuiud Esports Corner. Or do you want to go into the interview now?
No, we can do that. I'll make it quick, or it'll be quick.
Sure, no problem. Okay, LiQuiud's Esports Corner.
Hey, yo, how you doing? It's time for LiQuiud's Esports Corner. That's right. And you're going to want to stick around for this.
Take it away, LiQuiud.
All right. So we're going to hit some quick standings. Eastern Clash, Western Clash just around the corner. This is the last weekend of Phase 2, Part 1. China's playing Monday, Tuesday. Korea, EU, and NA are finishing their season Friday, Saturday, or their part Friday, Saturday. So current standings, I do not expect these to change other than maybe who's 1, 2, and 3 will, but like the top 3 will be the top 3. Over in China, we have Super Perfect Team on top with CE and E-Star being number 2, number 3. Like I said, those 3 won't change. It just like E-Star and CE may swap positions. Over in Korea, this has been a little bit crazy and a little bit of a roller coaster ride. MVP Black over in number 1, L5 in number 2, and Tempest in number 3. That's still a battle. So we'll have to see how that goes. Over in the EU, we do have Fnatic completely locked in for the Western Clash. And we have Team Expert and Tricked Esport filling out the number 2 and number 3 position there. There is some moves that can happen over in EU. So EU and NA, other than Fnatic is locked in, there is room for stuff to change. We're going to go into kind of a lot of the like little what can happen if Team X beats Team Y beats Team A like type stuff on Troll and HGC after this. But yeah, you're going to want to watch the EU and the NA games for sure this weekend. Over in NA, we have Team Freedom in number 1. Nobody saw that coming. Gale Force Esports in number 2. Okay, sure. And number 3, No Tomorrow. Like, no Tempo, no Roll20, and Team Freedom, No Tomorrow in the top 3. Like, what? Like, nobody saw it. And, like, NA, like, my bracket's totally hosed. But they're there. Yeah. Games to watch. So this weekend, only Friday, Saturday. Handful of games. Friday being the busiest day. Saturday, only really one game is going to affect outcome. But Friday, starting at 5 a.m. Eastern, we have Mighty versus L5 in Korea. That has the potential of changing who's going to the Eastern Clash for Korea. So if you don't want to get up at 5, check out the VOD. That should actually be good. Mighty's actually doing really well. I know they're not in the top 3, but Mighty's actually been doing surprisingly well. And L5's been pretty shaky so far this phase. Then starting at noon Eastern, we have Tricked Esport versus Team Dignitas. I don't know if you remember this, but Dignitas is in the top 3, so they're not currently going to Western Clash. They need this win, and they need some other stuff to happen. 2 o'clock Eastern, we have Team LiQuiuD versus Team Expert. Another good game. Team LiQuiuD also not in the top 3. Team Expert is in the top 3, so yeah, that'll be fight for their lives. And then at 5 o'clock Eastern, over to NA, we have No Tomorrow versus Roll20. That should be a good game. Roll20 not in the top 3. No Tomorrow right on the bubble. It's going to get messy in NA, that's for sure. And then at 7 p.m. Eastern, let's be honest, guys, we all know these times aren't right because most of these games start late after they get rolling into the EU. But right now, scheduled 7 p.m. Eastern, we have Gale Force Esports versus Superstars. Now, Superstars has been really hit or miss this part of Phase 2. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there with that team. And then finally, the only game I really wanted to highlight on Saturday is at 7 p.m. Team Freedom versus Tempo Storm. Number 1 versus number 1 from Phase 1. Should be a good game either way. At that point, it may not matter that the teams going to Western Clash may be set, because that is the final game of HGC Phase 2 Part 1 regular season play. And, you know, we'll have to see what happens there, but it should be a good game. Man, I hit top 100 over in the Master League challenge today, based on, like, China is helping me carry right now. I got to be honest, because with their whole best of 2s, it makes it really easy for me to pick out, this is a 2-0, this is a 1-1, this is a 2-0, this is a 1-1, and I'm getting like 15 points a win for that in the MasterLeague.net challenge, which if you're not doing, like, totally head over, because it's a lot of fun just to, like, Bags and I have a little competition going. I finally overtook him. And I swear to God, China is helping carry me because I'm getting like 15, 15, 15, 15. Where in the best of 5s, you get 30 if you get the score perfect. If you only predict the winner, you get 10. So, like, China is the secret, boys and girls. If you can predict China, you can carry MasterLeague.net's challenge right now. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's crazy, though. It's like, dude, like, DB Smiley, sorry, I got to shout out to DB Smiley. The man, not only did the man put his Python code that is how he does all of his predictions in GitHub, but he also reached out to Sia Steve, and, like, they worked out what the tiebreakers were so that he could make sure, and he did Reddit posts, and, like, there's all sorts of stuff. So if you can check out at Death by Smiley on Twitter, like, that man does us all a huge amount of work. And unfortunately, because China's Monday, Tuesday, we don't get his articles until Thursday on GFE's website. Otherwise, man, I use the heck out of that article for helping me figure out what could happen and where it could go.
So,
Sorry, go ahead.
Couple quick questions.
Yep.
Is Dignitas, Roll20, do they and Tempo Storm, do they have chances at all to make it into the top 3?
Yes. No, they absolutely do. We're going to go into those cases tonight on Troll and HGC. There is a path forward for just about every team. Hold on, I'm just scrolling down to see. Roll20 has a path forward. No Tomorrow, Team Freedom, and Tempo Storm for NA all have a path forward. For EU, I haven't broken it out quite as well, but Tricked, LiQuiuD, Expert, and Dignitas all have a path forward, but it's very like convoluted. Like some teams have to win 3-0, some teams have to win 3-1 or better. Like it's really like
it's getting down to it.
I mean, I would probably take an hour and a half if I went through it right here with you.
And
guys.
you're going to take an hour and a half on Troll and HGC.
On Troll and HGC.
Shortly after this show. So, final follow-up question.
Yes.
How do the standings here impact, if at all, BlizzCon appearance?
So, they do and they don't. The way that they do is the simple fact that where you are is still where you are. So, the current number 1 team in NA right now is Team Freedom, right? And sorry, I'm just getting asked the question. Need to answer real quick. All right, so the current number 1 team in NA is Team Freedom. They're sitting there at, I believe it was 5-1, right? Do you still have that tab up by chance? Yeah, you do. Can you flip over that? All right, so they're sitting 5-1 right now. They will keep that going into Phase 2, Part 2. So they'll still be in first place with a 5-1 win-loss record, and then they'll play another, I think it's 7 weeks or 6 weeks. No, it's 7 games. Everybody plays 7 games per part. So they'll play another 7 games, and at the end of the season, going into BlizzCon, it's the top 3 best of 14, right? So it's your record at 14 games. So right now, Naventic is going into it way in the hole at 0-6, right? So they got to basically win out. And even if Naventic wins out in Part 2 of Phase 2, they still have to win their way through. We're going to have another stepladder playoff going into BlizzCon. So only the number 1 team, just like at the midseason brawl, goes through to BlizzCon. Then it's stepladder playoff. Now, because of the recent changes where they're going to take the top 3 teams from the major regions, it might be number 1 and number 2 get through, and then stepladder for the rest. Right. But so it does help you in that you already have a good lead on the rest of your opponents, but nothing is set. Like winning the Western Clash is not going to give you an advantage going into BlizzCon other than you can be like, yo, we just won a whole lot of money and we're still rolling high from our win at Western Clash, right? Like there's something to be said about having the momentum of winning an international tournament, but from a strictly standings point of view, no, it's not going to help you.
Okay, well, it's good to know that, it matters somewhat going forwards. But now I think we're going to conclude LiQuiuD's eSports corner and move over into the interview that we did last Thursday with Superjova. Just so everyone knows, especially those listening on the audio, this is a pre-recorded segment. So if we talk about any dates or times, this is with reference to last Thursday. And also, Mystic did not join us, so he will not be taking part in the conversation. Sorry, Mystic. So it was just myself, LiQuiuD, and Superjova. And with that, here's the interview. So hello and welcome to a very special episode of the Nexus Trolls. We're doing a special interview today outside of our normal time slot because we had the opportunity to talk to Superjova, the creator of Chair League and the current runner of Chair League as well. He was actually our first guest ever on the show, I think back in episode 6, because if you have been watching the show long enough, he was an old teammate of Shiz's, one of the old hosts of the show. And that was the first connection we had with someone, in the community and someone willing to come on to the show. And he graciously enough, I guess, had a good time the first time around because he's agreed to come back again for a second go. Superjova, welcome to the show. It's good to have you back, bud.
Hey, good to be back.
So we've got a new season of Chair League that just started this week. So we said, hey, this is the perfect time to get Superjova back on. But for those of our listeners who've never heard of Chair League, what's it all about, Superjova?
Well, Chair League is an online recreational league for gamers. So think about your basketball, soccer, whatever you got in your local town, convert that to gaming, and that's what we have online. Strangely enough, something that really has been missing for a long time, and it's something that I just want to see shine and come to light in this community.
Yeah, and Chair League specifically is one thing that got me more involved in the community. I think my friends list went from like 1 or 2, it was like my brother and my cousin, to like all of a sudden joining Chair League. Like it's like my friend list exploded. That's how I met LiQuid. That's how I met Shiz. That's how I met Mystic too. I think it's pretty safe to say if it wasn't for you, Superjova, this podcast would never be happening.
Come on, boys, come on.
No, you know what? I have to side with Daz on this. If you hadn't created Chair League, I definitely never would have met Daz. And yeah,
I'm waiting for somebody to come out and say, like, I met my wife or husband through Chair League, because then I would hope I would at least get invited to the wedding, or I'd crash it if they posted the address.
It's only a matter of time. You might have a bit of a problem because there's a very high male to female ratio in general in HOT, so it might be a little bit difficult statistically speaking, but hey, you never know.
Depends where you live, you know. Maybe that's what you're into, so I'm sure there's a wedding.
That's true.
That's true.
So we'll keep our ears to the ground for that one, and we'll let you know if we hear of anything.
Someone retweet it and add me.
If you met your significant other, definitely, tweet it at Chair League. That's what Superjova's official handle is on Twitter for Chair League. So why don't we just get right into the interview then? So why did you start Chair League? Is it just because you saw that need for this kind of like beer league esports bit for the
it was sorry to interrupt, but it was something I saw a long time ago where, why were there only like 4 teams in the entire HOTS community enjoying, competitive play that's organized and weekly schedules and stuff like that. And I also, at the time that Blizzard was doing, I forgot even what their old league was called, but it just didn't seem like it was something that anybody could even be in. So I was like, hey, I see bowling leagues, I see soccer leagues, let's get this going. And the original thought for anybody who hasn't heard this story before was just, can me and my friends play maybe 4 teams once a week for 4 weeks and see what happens? Like we were all really into HOTS at the time, and that we'd play it every night anyway. So I thought, well, let's just play against other people. And I don't even remember what it was like back then. Like I think that was when Team League was only a group of 5 and Hero League was. It was. I don't even remember actually. It's so long.
There's been so many changes to the game too, right? So tough to keep.
There
track
have
of
been,
them
and we're already in Heroes 2.0, so it's like I can't even remember what the thought process was. But I wanted to build a community. I wanted to get people going and get playing, and I thought that'd be exciting. Even if you got like a little, little ribbon at the end, like I'm a Chair League champion, and you held that to the camera. Like I would have been excited if it just turned into that.
Well, I think it's safe to say it's exceeded probably your expectations too. It's been going strong for what is this, 4 seasons, 5 seasons now?
5. This is 5.
5 and 6, if you want to say that there are 2 different leagues going on right now. So, but we can call it just 5.
I'm looking. So I happened to be on the Chair League site because I'm casting tonight, and I always keep it up while I'm doing that. And I just went into the team that I created way back when. And because I was like, man, I'm pretty sure that we started season 1, and we did all 4 seasons. Real life got in the way of season 5, but yeah, it's I've been around for a while, and I'm happy you created this.
So you alluded to what I think is the biggest success about Chair League is that it keeps a history of your gaming. Whatever you did, there's your user, there's your what team you were on and when and what league you played on. Go to any other website that does that. Crickets. I don't know why, but it's such a simple concept. Just keep that record. And like people always like, oh, I want to change my team name. I'm like, you can't, because then you can at least remember I played on that team in season 1. Wow, they're still around. But if you let people change their names all the time, then you're going to lose that characteristic that you built maybe in season 1 all the way to now. And there's like right now, House of Ches, they're like team ID 30, and they're in season 5 right now. And it's just like, that's cool. At least I get a kick out of it because I see the teams, but you guys probably have some names around that you might recognize.
Well, no, there's a bunch I do, both from playing them and then casting them later, starting in season 2. But yeah, House of Ches being one of those for sure.
It's interesting to be able to follow people's paths too. As I mean, like roster apocalypses are not something that Chair League doesn't see as well, right? Just like HGC, people shuffle around. I'm not sure if I've ever been on, like throughout the seasons we've done, 3 or 4, I guess now, had the same lineup for all 4 seasons. So it's interesting to see that kind of like lineup as well. So, Superjova, what's different about this season compared to prior seasons too? Because we've had a bit of a break between last season and this season, and a lot of people may not have signed up for this season yet. I know I've said that it's already started too. Is it too late to sign up?
No, you can sign up anytime until week 6. So right now, week 2 schedules went out for Tuesday, and that might not make sense to anybody. So let's back it up for a second and talk about what's different. So season 1 of Chair League was Mondays and Thursdays, and how that worked is you would sign up and you had a 50-50 chance, depending on your rating, what you were going to land over. You land on a Monday where you had to play, or Thursday that you had to play, and that was pretty good, but the issue was always like, oh, I only wanted to sign up for the Monday League or something like that. And I ignored all those facts. Oh, they only want to sign up for one of those days or whatever. So I ignored that. And with the success of season 1 and how we were getting 350 viewers somehow in an initial scale of things, it was pretty amazing. So I thought, okay, we really got something here. So I wanted to do, well, if we can spread those viewers across 5 days a week. And that's where the idea of Monday through Friday came to be, where you could sign up for the league, and every week you'd get scheduled based on your or your scheduling that you put as your team's preferences, and we'd match you with a team who also played at that time. Long story short, right? And the viewership did not translate into the 5 days a week thing, and we did that 3 more times in a row. The 5 days a week, you might play Monday, you might play Friday, you might play sometime in between. And when it got to the end of that, of 3 times doing that, I took a step back and just wanted to think, what was I trying to build? When I started this, what was I trying to build? Was I trying to make something easy to be in, or something that you're so super flexible that really there's no commitment that you ever made? So when I looked at that, I was like, okay, something's got to change, because I'm feeling the pains of it. There's a bunch of people feeling the pains of it, regardless if you agree with that decision or not. We went to now only playing on Tuesdays if you play in that league, or Thursdays if you play in the Thursday night league. And so the benefits to that is you now can plan ahead. Unlike any season before, you can know going next week, when are you going to play? Oh, well, I joined the Tuesday league. I'm probably going to play on Tuesday. Actually, I'm for sure going to play on Tuesday.
Right.
So that's the biggest change. And what that allows me to do is now you can play HOTS twice a week, compared to the flex scheduling Chair League had before. You could only play once a week, because it would be impossible for the machine to know when to schedule you. Hey, you could figure it out, but imagine if you joined 2 leagues that both played Monday through Friday. Who's going to have the biggest headache? You guys are going to have, as the players, going to have the largest headache, going, oh, we're only available Tuesdays, and so is the other team on both nights. We can't play at that time. So and I always knew that I wanted to get multiple nights a week. It was actually feedback from season 1. One of my closest friends said it was actually pretty annoying to get 5 people together, and you only do it once a week. He's like, I took all that time to do it, so why can't I have more games? And so that's where best of 3s came from. That's where Tuesdays and Thursdays came from, all from the idea that people do play video games every night, so why not do it on Chair League?
And one interesting thing is, as you've been growing Chair League over the seasons too, one thing I've heard on a podcast was you're successful when you get your first bad review and 1-star review, right? There's always going to be, as soon as you grow, people start caring about something so much that you hear a lot more voices come out. So I know that a lot of things that you did, the changes this season, were received well by some people on Reddit and by others not so well too. I am a big fan of the changes you made. It makes it a lot more convenient scheduling just one day, be like, hey, that's my night. I've got kids swimming lessons Tuesday nights, I've got hockey on Wednesday nights. Now I can be now Thursday nights, I've got cheerleading. I don't have to worry about what night am I going to play on. I don't know until the week before. I find it a lot easier, but you're always going to have your haters come out. So I mean, one nice thing is that it's nice to be able to hear the reasoning behind these things. And I think a lot of people jump to conclusions, especially too, the other controversial change you made as well is you made it paid for play as well, as opposed to being a free league in the past. Do you want to talk about that at all? Maybe get anything off your chest there?
Yeah. So it's been a financial struggle to run Chair League this entire time. First season, out of pocket everything, and the T-shirts always paid out of pocket. Website costs always paid out of pocket. Lawyer costs always paid out of pocket. Hiring developers and designers always paid out of pocket. And it got to this point that I just couldn't do it anymore. And I always thought about, it was like season 2. I thought, is this the time? But I didn't have an idea. And then season 3 comes around, and I'm like, I'm not doing season 3 without charging. And I thought about it, couldn't figure it out. I was always trying to be too clever. I was trying to think, well, maybe if you could do a subscription-based service where you pay nothing and you get 1 league for free, and then you pay $5 a month and you get unlimited for that amount. And so it's like, it was too complicated. I pitched it to people, asked what they said, and in the end, people were like, how do rec leagues do it? I'm like, oh, you just pay to sign up. And they're like, yeah, I'd rather do that. I'm like, oh. So the answer is just as simple as how do rec leagues work, And so not really, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Just copied the rec league model of, hey, this is what it costs to run the league. If you want to be in it, it's as simple as that. One of the unique things about how it works, though, since you can sign up anytime during the league, it starts off at $24 for all 8 weeks, and as a week goes down, the price reduces by $3 every week. So when people sign up right now for Thursday night league, they're actually going to pay $21. When someone signs up for Tuesday, because the second week has already been scheduled, they're going to pay $18. So the price will reduce until 6 weeks, where it cuts off, and I don't know, that's $6 or something to sign up for the final 2 weeks and a chance at playoffs.
That's funny. I was wondering why it was $24. I was like, wouldn't 25 made it a bit easier? Because then, by 5 players. But then I was like, oh, hey, okay, that makes sense now. Yeah, for sure.
Originally 25, and I'm sitting there and like, oh, I'm looking at the math, I'm writing it out. I'm like, 485,
yeah,
or whatever. I can't even think right now. But it was just like such a weird number to reduce every week, and I'm like, you know what? Let's take some math here. 12 is one of the numbers under 20 that has the most least common factors or whatever, like or
common denominators or denominators.
Yeah, whatever. But 1, 2, 3.
It's been a while
4,
since we've been in
6,
high school math, right?
12. So then when you take 24 is double 12, meaning that it has at least 2 more of those numbers in there. It's like, that makes sense. It's easy to divide. It's the only time that it's hard is when you have 5 people and 7 people on your team. But if you have 8 and 6, pretty easy.
Works out well.
So that was my thought process and why it's $24. I wanted to do a higher price, but then at the end of the day, it wasn't about the money. It was just something that I wanted to ensure that it could pay for the costs. And so like I think the original question that you asked was, how was the response and how did that make me feel? Oh, it sucked 100%. Sucked. But I think I've learned this lesson repeatedly amount of times, but when you're the top of the pyramid, everyone's looking at you. So, I make this decision, I make that decision. Might not be understood by everybody, but where does the energy go that decision has, brought up? So it'll just go straight to the top of the pyramid, and, I deal with it. But I think we got through it. I just posted, like, this is my thought process behind it. This is why I did it. Like, I've been talking about it with several people over the duration of, like, that 2-month gap. And what people don't know is there was a 2-month gap that all I did was spend 36 hours every weekend working on Chair League, and every night I got home from work on Chair League, and and then you get to the end of it, and everyone shit talks your website and calls it garbage, and you're just like, well, what did I do? I'm just trying to, like, continue to build this thing that a lot of people love, and I think even the haters love it too, because that's why, if, like, this is my example. I don't drink Coke, so if they raised the price of Coke by $1, I wouldn't give a crap. But if I loved Coke, I'd probably be angry that they raised. So I understand completely that if anyone's mad, it's not out of hatred or that they really think that the website is shitty. Even, that's their opinion, and I respect it. But just learn that emotions, even positive emotions, can be read in different ways. And so it's cool to see, like, something you've built that everyone, reacts to, and you post something on Reddit and you get, downvoted because of, whatever the decision is and stuff. So it's like, it's just kind of funny.
Reddit can be a tough a tough thing to deal with sometimes. One,
Yes.
the internet in general, I mean, it's a blessing but a curse in a lot of ways. I feel like in general, with so much free content out there on the internet, people somewhat feel entitled to having everything be free. So whenever you change something from going from a free service to a paid service, you're naturally going to get some sort of backlash. We've defended you on the show as well, and some of the decisions you've made. Because I remember reading in Reddit, people will be like, "Oh, server." I work in sysadmin. Like servers
Oh,
don't cost that
Jesus.
much. I'm like,
Servers
well,
cost 14 cents a year.
I know.
Like, what the-
Those guys, like I had to at one point I had to mute the server. So I mod the Chair League server, and at one point I had to mute it because I was just like these guys are killing me. Like, what do you? I run web servers and it doesn't cost. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, you learn everyone's a what is it, a water cooler quarterback or whatever
Right.
that's a Monday morning QB, and so it's hard when there's so much negative information and false information out there because people make claims that aren't true and they spread these things that never have been said, and then that information you just start seeing it be regurgitated and it goes off on these like infinite amount of chains into the wrong hands, and you're just like, well, that's not how it works. I'm glad you're spreading the news about it. That's not
Right.
how it works. And you eventually learn that like you take feedback with a grain of salt because some of it wasn't based off of what they're actually interpreting it as, and some of it you try to filter through and go, oh, this guy, that's how he feels. How can I put this over here in my workbench and fix that problem? So, and then at the end of the day, there's also a compromise that need to be made with what do I want as someone building it and putting everything towards it versus what does someone else want. So it is like it's a balancing act, and I feel like it has been. I don't agree with map bans, but they exist now. I don't think that's a thing that should be in the league, but overwhelming amount of people have complained that that's something that they want. Well, now we have it. Next up at that is hero bans, which I'm sure will never happen. But hey, we'll keep fighting that one too.
Yeah, and I mean, we all think you've done a great job with what you've put together, and I think a lot of things that people don't realize is how much time and effort goes into it. People will say, "Oh, like you can put together a site like Chair League in like a weekend," right? And they don't realize that you are putting in a lot of evenings, weekends. You're like spending a lot of your free time on this project. You're entitled to have some sort of recompense too. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong in having something that I know you're looking at it to be a profit generator, but there's nothing wrong even if you wanted this to be your career, right? So
Right.
I think that's the thing that bothered me. It's not just okay, like he's going to cover his costs. I mean, there's the time. Like I'm sure if you took the amount of money that you say you're going to make this season, you divide it by the hours you put into it, you're probably getting paid like slave wages, right? So.
I mean, I've done that calculation several times, and even if you just included the work to redo the website so that it's faster, better looking, and easier to use, with some bugs, sorry about the bugs, it still is like way below minimum wage. I'm not trying to talk about how much I make or whatever, but it's just like it just never feels good when people try to compare the amount of money and stuff like that. And the other thing that I want to say is that what did happen. If we look at season 4, we had 211 teams. As of this morning, this season has 100 teams. And any e-commerce conversion rate, if you had 50%, you would be a fucking hero wherever. Bleep that out later in the replay.
Not going
or whatever.
to. Nope. That's staying.
You would be a hero. You'd be hoisted up on chairs.
Right.
And and so like when I look at it, my goal was only to get 48 teams. If I got 48 teams, I would have been a happy camper and I would have kept pushing forward. After and then like you're getting all these posts everywhere, people are going at Superjova, do you think you're gonna get enough teams? I'm like, yes I do. Come on, like hold on, let's wait a little bit. It's like a week away, and then that final weekend, like it just hockey sticked, like it doubled from what I was happy with. It was just like boom, everybody in 3 days, and I'm like, wow, where was that? So really I learned a lot about that, how like the snowball effect of every team that signs up early, and then as the pressure builds, it just hockey sticked at the end. I didn't see that coming.
I think there were a couple things that contributed to that, and I tried to say this a couple times when people were up, well, there's not a lot of teams yet. Like first, it was summer, right? It was like right after July 4th too, and in my experience outside of chair league, in rec leagues, because I was involved in my soccer club heavily. People in the summer don't sign up for things. They're just like, dude, it's summer vacation. I don't want to deal with that, and they sign up later, closer to the start time, and things like that. So I'm happy you got what you got. I was gonna be one of my questions compared to last season. How many teams are you at this season?
Yeah, we hit 100 this morning, so
That's awesome.
that was like what my friends were telling me I was gonna hit on the opening week, and I was like, "There's no way!" Like I believed in it. I believed in it the whole time. It was 8. I thought it was gonna be 8 teams across every division, 48 teams total, and I'm like, that's a success metric for me.
Right.
So to double that, I'm happy as a clam over here, and it
We
really
have to be.
to me, it pushes me forward to believe in it even more. What's the next steps? What am I going to implement next? What do people want? How can I make Division 1 better? How can I keep learning so that the next time we do Heroes of the Storm, we can pull
Right.
off 5 days a week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday leagues, just like you would experience if you join a soccer league, you could choose your day. Then
Right.
open that up to Overwatch. We fill the gaps wherever Heroes isn't. We put Overwatch League. Then you go to PUBG, fill out the gaps where everybody else isn't. And eventually you could spend your entire time never playing quick match, never playing anything again, and actually contributing to communities and playing in chair league and having all these different leagues that you're in, and all managed in one spot with the same interface. And it's just like this rec league, not only
Yeah.
just in Heroes of the Storm, but name a game that's a team game, and that's where I want to go.
And as someone who just installed PUBG last week and is getting his feet wet there, I'm pretty excited that you're talking about potentially expanding to games like that too.
I know a big streamer. I got to contact him because we grew up and played soccer together, and I want to ask him what does he think about that idea, because it would be pretty sick.
There's a lot of momentum behind PUBG right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
so I hope it's not like a internet bubble of '99 or whatever. The .com burst. I hope that's not what it is.
Who knows?
Right.
One thing I wanted to say too, as a player in Chair League, I like the fact that it's gone pay to play, because to me, I'm just going to use a bit of a poker analogy. It's kind of tough to play poker when there's no value in the chips. But now that there's actually value in the chips, even if they're like pennies or small amounts, people take it a lot more seriously, right? Like they're not just like throwing their chips around. They're not showing up for weeks and stuff. I feel like you're going to get a lot less no shows, a lot of people taking it more seriously too. So I think it's going to be higher quality of team participation, even though there's less teams. But you know what? It doesn't matter. You're still going to get that match every week. And I think they're going to be high quality games too.
Oh yeah, it seems that way too. I mean, even LiQuiuD before we started was like, I was surprised that the game I was just casting went to best of 3, and it's like,
games, yeah.
I don't know if that's going to be that rare anymore. It's going to be pretty competitive, and I'm super happy. It's always been a complaint by the random people in Reddit, who don't actually play chair league, but then tell the stories that grandmasters kill everybody, because I only know of one instance that ever happened, but I already forgot my point, but that's gonna happen. I promise you that'll happen.
I lose my train of thought all the time. I just try and stall for time as it comes back. But
Right.
we're starting to run out of time a little bit. So I just have one, I guess, final question for you. Is there anything, I mean, I guess you've teased a little bit of what your plans are for Chair League come in the future, but is there anything that you're thinking of down the road implementing in Chair League that you'd like to get off your chest too?
Yes, I think people. So like, there's been like conflicts in what direction I want to take this, And I thought like another way to bring in monetization was going to be just throwing big tournaments that more like your regular tournaments. But then I'm glad I never went down that, because Chair League isn't a tournament platform. It's a league platform, weekly scheduled leagues, and so what I will bring back is the idea of that holiday chair extravaganza that happened in December, and I'm actually going to precursor that with a Halloween event in October. And I think the Halloween event would span somewhere between 1 and 3 weekends, where you would commit time to play. Maybe the first just our knockout real quick, get like half the teams out in 2 weekends, and then that third weekend in that tournament, it's just like straight games, boom, 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 boom. And what I want to do, the same style. The more people who join, the more rewards that would get given out. You know, like trick or treat bags or costumes or whatever. You know, I gotta figure out what those prizes would be. But I think bringing back holiday events, you know, even 4th of July, Easter, stuff like that, is something I want to do. I truly do think that, you know, even with these Friday night friendlies, which has been a concept I had not marketed yet, people are still joining that queue. I do think that it can be possible that Chair League could be a 7-day a week thing for anybody, and so that's kind of the direction I'm trying to take it. It might not be filled. Your entire week might not be filled with just heroes. That could probably be boring. So I think a natural step would be introducing a Monday, Wednesday Overwatch League sometime in November or October.
Oh god, now I have to learn how to play Overwatch.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Pretty soon, game companies are gonna be going, "Hey, Chair League, put this out.
Yeah.
We've got this new game. Put a league out for it."
I'm bad at Tracer and HOT, so I can't imagine I'll be any better in Overwatch yet. So, Superjova, thanks so much for coming on the show and lending your time. For those of you who don't know where to go to sign up for Chair League, Superjova, why don't you tell us where they can go to sign up, where they can follow you? Oh, I want one of those candy bars.
Well, we're sponsored by Yo-Yo. I don't know.
I thought you were serious for a second. I was like, really?
So you can go to chairleague.com, click the login link, sign up with your Twitch account, and you're in. And then you can create a team, join the league, and start having fun. We'll probably have to get a testimonials page up so you don't have to believe me. You can believe anybody.
Well, I'll put a testimonial up there for sure. How about Twitter? Do you have a Twitter handle that you use? I know you don't use one personally, but I believe you got one for Chair League, right?
Yeah, I do have a personal one. I don't really use it, so I guess I'll just pitch the @ChairLeague on Twitter. You can also like us on Facebook.
Oh, I didn't know you had a Facebook page.
Not many people do.
We'll keep an eye.
You can
for
find all
that.
these links at the bottom of chairleague.com too, if you can't remember Chair League.
Okay, and we lost LiQuiuD while the interview was playing. We're still trying to figure out where he went off to. Mystic's got an abnormally large head now for this too. Hopefully LiQuiuD will be.
I'll check his square over here, right?
Yeah. So a little
No, it's not
fancy.
here.
Little production issues here, but hey, you know what? Hopefully LiQuiuD will be popping back in. But in the meantime, we'll try and work through the rest of the show. I apologize for the video viewers. So actually, let's just move right along to Mystic's Shakedown. Mystic, you want to take it away? Hold on, I got the bumper coming. I got it, and there it is.
Mystic, I require service of you. I come to you as a friend, asking you to shake down this situation for me.
There we go. Go ahead, Mystic.
All right, so for today's topic, we're going to talk about a day in someone's shoes. So my topic for today is like playing different heroes. You can stick to the heroes that you want to play, but then you never learn what the other heroes generally do, right? You know, you go up against them, but you don't know like maybe what their cooldowns are, or maybe what their ranges are until you actually get to play them. So playing different heroes helps you learn the game. It also helps you get a feel for their cooldowns. Like, hey, I know Li Ming is going to throw this orb, and then I know when it's going to come back up. And then you also get to know their effective range, right? Where if I'm this far away, I know that they can still cast the spell, but it's probably not going to hit me because I'm too far away, or I can move out of the range, just like, you know, take a couple steps to the left, a couple steps to the right, and I know that I can dodge it. And then with this knowledge, you can transfer that to characters that you do play. For example, like let's just say you play Vala, right? And then you're up against Li Ming. Since you play Li Ming, you now know that, hey, once her orb is out, once her missiles are out, and she's used Calamity, and maybe you dodged it with Vault or something, right? Then all of her spells are down. You know, granted, it's not like level 10 or something, but then you know that you can engage on her, and the only thing she can do against you is like maybe throw out her auto attacks that don't do very much damage. And then you know when her orbs or missiles are coming back up, so then be like, okay, I think they're back up now. And then so if I dodge here, oh, here come the missiles, and then you've dodged them. Now, something that I know a lot of people do is they look at a hero that they don't like playing against, and then they think, okay, this hero is super annoying and super like OP in my book, and I'm never gonna touch them. I know quite a few people like that, and they say that about Genji, and I know Genji frustrates quite a few people. But I think people should do the opposite. They should actually say, okay, here, this hero frustrates me, but maybe I should put some time in on that hero, play them a little bit, try to do what other people do to me, and then see how they counter it. And then so in that sense, you find their weaknesses, right? So if you play that hero, learn that hero, and then you can find their weaknesses, transfer it to the heroes that you do play, and say, hey, next time the Genji comes at me, I know how to deal with him.
Yeah, and I mean, that's some great advice too. And we do have free hero rotation. So even if you don't own the hero, you will have the chance periodically to play them. And maybe at least get them to level 5 too, because you do get extra gold if you get players to level 5 as well. So why not? Okay, so we also have a couple emails. Hopefully, I just heard from LiQuiuD, his internet dropped. That's why we've got, for any of those who just popped in, a white screen here. Hopefully, we're just waiting for LiQuiuD to pop back in. But in the meantime, we do have a couple emails, one of which was specifically targeted towards Mystics. Let's play the bumper.
Hello, is this the Nexus Trolls? You guys are hilarious.
That's right. And we do have an email, 2 emails. We're going to go through at least the first one here because it's targeted towards Mystic. Andrighton, hi there. I have a question for Mystic. You've never talked on the show before about some of the lower win rate heroes that seem to do pretty well in competitive, specifically Medivh and Abathur. I was hoping you may be able to go over some tips on how to play them. So Mystic, this question's for you, so why don't you take it away?
All right. So first off, I'm going to address Abathur here. I don't know how good Abathur is in competitive because whenever I look around like the competitive matches that I do watch, he typically has a low win rate, but yeah, I can see how he could be used there. So Abathur, he's generally like not that much of a hero until you hit 10, so it's kind of like almost a burden on your team at lower levels. So like 1 to 10 basically, right? And so that kind of forces your team to stall. Like let's just say Curse Tribute has spawned, you have an Abathur on your team, you want to stall because you want the Abathur to soak, and then you stall the objective as long as possible to make sure your team like gets the experience up to level 10. And then, the other kind of scenario that could happen is you don't stall long enough, your team gets wiped or something, and now you're down pretty far in experience, and you're essentially playing a 4v5 because all the Abathur can do at that point in the game is provide a little bit of damage and soak. But some tips to play him is, like I said, from 1 to 10, you kind of want to stall. And then after 10, you get some of the tools you need as Abathur to either split push, split soak, those kind of go hand in hand, or do quite a bit of damage by helping out your heroes across the map. Like, you can help push here, and then, suddenly a team fight starts, you can hat them instead of the wave, and then you can help them out there. Oh, someone over here is like cut off from the rest of your team and he's dying. You could put a hat on him, provide a little bit of damage, do a little healing. So yeah, he's really good past 10, but it's that little 1 to 10 area that you kind of have to get past without being too disadvantaged. And then Medivh is great in competitive, and he's not so hot in quick match because there's not as much synergy, right? So the way I like to look at Medivh is that he's a playmaking hero with his with his portals and his ley lines, and I guess polymorph goes in there too. And then he's an anti-playmaking hero with the protect. So he typically does those 2 things. He uses the portals to engage or to disengage, and your teammates have to be smart enough to click on said portals, right, to use them. And then protect is fairly easy to use. It's really anti-playmaking. So let's just say Daz here, he's playing a squishier hero, and he gets engaged on by one of those stealthies, like one of the Valeras or something, and then they jump right on his face. However, I'm in range for protect, so right as the stun goes out, I put up the protect. He takes no damage, and Valera goes, I just used my entire combo, and it did like 0 damage. So then, there's the anti-playmaking. So those, you kind of want to wait until the enemy throws a lot of damage. You put out the protect. You don't actually even have to wait that long because the protect is on a very short cooldown, so you can throw it out even when they throw out a medium amount of damage. You don't have to wait for like a pyroblast or anything. So that's what I wanted to say about those heroes.
Yeah, and going along with some of the Medivh advice too, one thing I've noticed, I've been playing a lot of Medivh recently too, is I guess it actually ties into your Mystic Shakedown bit too. If you know the cooldowns of your opponents, especially the bursty ones, like Leeming, oh, is that LiQuiuD we got coming back in? Slowly.
It is. Can you guys hear me?
Oh,
Can you hear me?
We've got him on budget audio. That must be his crappy internet coming back online. We can hear you, LiQuiuD, and we've got you black screen, but hey, you're still part of the conversation. So just carrying on with Robot-y LiQuiuD here.
How about that? Is that better now?
That's much better. Much better. It was a little garbled there for a second, but much better now. Anyways.
I was using the wrong.
Oh, and there he is. LiQuiuD is back. Welcome back, LiQuiuD. So just continuing on with our discussion about Medivh there too. So what I was saying is that if you got bursty heroes, say like a Li Ming, for instance, and you know the cooldowns or the approximate rhythm of her cooldowns, as Medivh, you can kind of keep an eye out for that. And as Medivh, okay, like if there's a Li Ming on the other team, Li Ming's probably the biggest bursty hero on the enemy team. I can protect against those orbs. So just sit there, you wait for them to go out, and they're pretty predictable, a little slow. Same thing with like a Chromie, for instance, too. You can toss protect on here just before the orb hits, mitigate a lot of that burst damage, a lot of that poke damage as well. So I found that's a really useful bit for Medivh, and like the Mystic said there too, you can use it to protect against like a Valera combo or combos. Another little tip too is you can usually tell when an Alarak is coming out to do his combo. He like starts waltzing a little bit closer, gets that like glint in his eye, and he's going to do the Discord strike, pull you in, do all his combo, try and silence you, and it's pretty easy actually Medivh protect against those. So one thing I think Mystic was kind of hinting at too is those two characters really rely on your team, which is tough because it's not just under your control. The other team, the rest of your team has to be reacting properly to heroes as well. For Abathur's sake, stall around 10. So I don't know, Mystic, like would you even drop a couple lines in chat, say at the beginning of the game, be like, stall tribs before 10 or something like that to try and get the rest of the team on board, or watch for portals or whatever?
Yeah, I think that would help. If teams haven't played with Abathur that much, they might just play assuming it kind of goes both ways. If they assume that, hey, I'm going to get the hat every time, and you don't put the hat, then obviously there's going to be a bit of a disagreement. And then if they haven't played with an Abathur before and then they engage that 4v5, and they're like, oh, why did we lose that? Oh, right, it's because we had an Abathur. So yeah, saying that line is never harmful, right? So yeah, to help out.
What do you think, LiQuiuD? Do you have any suggestions on Medivh and Abathur play?
All right, so I don't know what Mystic said because obviously my internet went out, and I'm doing this over 4G right now. So if I look robot-y on the screen, I apologize. Medivh, I like Medivh over Abathur. Abathur takes a lot more team coordination, in my opinion, or at least team knowledge to understand. Oh, we're playing with an Abathur, we can or can't do these things. Where with Medivh, it's a little more open-ended, and you can make a lot of things happen with the Medivh, whether or not you're like coordinated and you understand what you're doing, right? Because a protect is always a protect. And in like pub matches, it's a little easier to get away with not having the coordination with a Medivh, where it's a lot harder to pull that off with an Abathur.
And hey, LiQuiuD, we got a question for you through email as well. And I think we got a little bit of a fanboy or girl. Snack Pack writes, hey, trolls, I'm not only a LiQuiuD fanboy, but an ETC one as well. Dude, is it okay if I take the cow off the pasture and back into the game? I take a lot of heat whenever I do. Keep it up. So what do you think?
So first, it's so awesome that I have a fanboy. Can I just say that for a
or
minute?
fangirl.
Dude, or a fangirl.
Snack
whatever
Pack
it
is very generic of a handle, so.
you kind of made my day. I'm gonna be honest. So kudos. You know what? ETC is actually like, all right. I love ETC, right? Don't get me wrong. He's one of the three in my little figure. One of the three I keep on my desk at all times. Him, Diablo, and Stitches. Yes, you can take him out right now. He is strong enough to be played right now, today. The problem you're going to run into, especially in quick match, is you get those crazy tryhard guys that are like, no, we must run only the number 1 and number 2 meta heroes. You cannot run anything else. Those are the same guys.
And they talk like Samuro, right?
They do. They talk like Smurl.
But those the tribe of tryhards.
The tribe of tryhards. I like that. Those are the same guys, though, that don't like Abathurs on their team and don't like Medivhs on their team because you have to have that level of coordination for that to really work. My advice, ignore those fools. ETC is just fine to play right now. Stage Dive's a little stronger than Mosh Pit outside of a coordinated team. You can still get some crazy wombo with Mosh Pit depending on how your team's gelling together. But yeah, no, ETC can come out to play. He's just, look, he's not as strong as the top meta tanks right now. I am probably a little bit over Doomsayer with him because I tend to focus on professional level play. But dude, when I'm playing my own games and I'm not like talking about pro level play, I play ETC all the time. So bring out your cow, have a good time, and, you know, rock out some.
5-man moshes can change any game.
Yes, they can.
Okay, and on that note, we're getting close to the time where we need to close out the show. So I'm going to start doing my little housekeeping notes at the end here. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Nexus Trolls, a Heroes of the Swarm podcast, which we stream live on this Twitch channel, twitch.tv/trollsgg, every week on Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. So, LiQuiuD, where can people find you if they're looking for you on the interwebs?
All right, so your best bet is to follow me on Twitter at LiQuiuDGG. I just yesterday took on yet another eSports role. I am now the team manager of the new guys, playing actually right now or any minute now over in Heroes Hype, which started at 9 p.m. Eastern. They're currently number 5 in the standings. I'm hoping they can knock it up a little bit. This is the last week of that competition. Maybe they can finish top 3, top 2, and look to do well in the playoff, which is next week. But I do a lot, especially around esports. Follow me on Twitter. I tweet out esports news as I see it breaking. I do all sorts of esports goodness when it comes to Heroes of the Storm. So, yeah. Check me out there.
And Mystic, you're up to 13 tweets. It's going up a little bit every week. Where can people find you on Twitter?
You can find me at Mystic Shroud on Twitter. Or you can send emails to the Nexus Trolls and, you know, maybe have some more questions. We can answer them on the show.
Yeah, for sure. We love getting questions via email. We'll always make sure we try our best to spotlight those on the show. And if you're looking for me, you can find me at DazHots on Twitter. LiQuiuD, did you have an announcement you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, I talked about the TNG thing already.
Oh,
so
turns out I was gapping out. I must have not been listening to your little bit there. I was like, oh, I don't think he's done the announcement yet. I was too busy.
You know what?
Creeping Mystic on Twitter to find out how many tweets he did.
I got to be honest, though. I do have kind of another announcement.
Okay.
There probably will not be a troll in HGC tonight.
Ooh.
My internet is dead. I cannot cast it's barely keeping up with what we're doing here. I can't imagine trying to bring in the stream from Bags and then pushing that out to Twitch. Like, it would be so bad. So I watch Twitter. I will tweet for sure by 9:20 to let you guys know if we're going to do it tonight or not. Hopefully we do it. Hopefully I can figure out our internet issue here. But yeah, our internet is out. The other thing I was going to throw out there, send questions for both shows, Twitter, email, whatever. Like, I might not answer them immediately, but if I'm not gonna, and I'm gonna answer them, like if you send it to Troll and HGC, I will tell you that we'll answer that on the show next week. So you know we're gonna answer it. We're just not gonna answer you live. Or if it's time sensitive, like LiQuiuD, who's going to the Clash? I gotta know. I will respond and let you know. So yeah, hit us up on Twitter or email, man. I love talking to people.
LiQuiuD, wasn't it you last week who was saying that if you were serious about your HGC job, you should have 2 internet connections to back up on?
Yes. I just got the gigabit ordered. In fact, the router came in just today, which is I suspect why I might be having internet issues right now. But yes, I need to get the gigabit up before I can bring in a Cox line separately to support my failover connection, because the current BIOS uses the coax connection, and so I can't bring in a cable provider to do, like, there's only one coax line, right? So yes, I will have dual internet soon. I just do not currently have dual internet.
First world problems.
Yes.
So,
if ever there were some.
So thanks again to all our Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/trollsgg. If you like the show and you're looking away for support us, you can do so there. As a little plea out to those who might be considering becoming patrons. We're also looking to get together more swag for BlizzCon itself. Our existing patrons, let us know if you're going to be at BlizzCon. We'll make sure that we get a t-shirt and crazy pinhole sunglasses branded with Trolls GG in your hands at BlizzCon. But the more patrons we get, the more swag we'll be able to get and provide our fans at BlizzCon as well. You can subscribe to our show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you happen to find your podcasts online. You can also visit our website at trollsgg/TheNexusTrolls to watch this and past shows, along with video streams, which can also be found on our YouTube channel. For announcements about the show and general Heroes news, follow us on Twitter at TheNexusTrolls. If you want to hang out with us in the Trolls community in-game, you can /join TrollsGG in-game, or join our Discord channel, which we've opened up to the public now. You can go head over to trolls.gg/Discord. It'll reroute you to the invite link. And finally, if you need to get in touch with us, the best way is by email at TheNexusTrolls@trollsgg. Everyone, thanks for listening. Have a great week.